What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest and newest edition of the Total Sports Ozone. I am the big O with the big mouth, Oscar, coming at you as I like to do every day. I am so sorry I wasn't able to do this yesterday. Had a little emergency come up, but I'm back at it today. About to rant and rave about what's going on in the latest happenings in sports. Today we're going to talk about college football. Of course, that's going to dominate the scene for a while. But I'm going to give you who I think, if the at the week 5, who I think is right now in the college football playoff. We're going to do this by conference. So there's going to be more teams in one conference than another. And I'm going to actually look at the bubble teams, teams that I think could get in if this happened or if that happened. And we're going to see the teams, talk about teams that ain't got a shot. Also, we're going to get into the playoffs, MLB playoffs, 3 games or elimination games today. Tigers, Guardians, Red Sox, Yankees, Cubs, Padres. Elimination games, 3 of them today. We'll get into that later on. But first, NFL. If you probably already know, and I said this should happen Monday, that the Cleveland Browns should start either Dylan Gabriel or Shadur Sanders for the next game, which is Sunday early in the morning, because they're going to be playing in London against the Minnesota Vikings. And I said, Joe Flacco just don't got it no more. He's not that Joe Flacco. And I said, Kevin Stefanski. I think I said this on my Monday broadcast. That Kevin Stefanski, he's the head coach. He sees what's going on with Joe Flacco. I mean, the man's averaging 2 turnovers a game. And they're 1-3. Got a world-class defense. Super Bowl caliber. But offense is almost non-existent. The 31st in points, averaging just about 14 points a game. 31st in the league. Joe Flacco averages just a tick more than 2 turnovers a game. And he only is going for 270, and they only averaging as a team 279, just under 280 yards a game. They're 1-3. And I said Monday, if Kevin Stefanski wants to keep his job, he needs to change quarterbacks now. Well, as of yesterday, he did. It has been announced that Dylan Gabriel will start for the foreseeable future. Now, is that good or bad for the Browns? We don't know. Dylan Gabriel, he looked okay in mop-up duty against the Detroit Lions. He looked okay in mop-up duty against the Baltimore Ravens. Let's see what he can do a whole game. There are concerns about him. I mean, yes, came from Oregon, was in the playoffs last year. He's good. I mean, he's good accurate thrower. I believe he's a good accurate thrower. He can read. He can read defenses a little bit. He'll get better as he progresses. But my problem is his height. He's what, barely 6 feet? Barely? How's he going to see over the line? Is he going to be able to see over the line? How many balls are going to get batted back in his face if he tries to throw over the middle? How does the offense roll through him? How will it change? Will they have to do more rollouts? Will they have to do more checkdowns? Throwing it to the running back out of the backfield? Will they have to do more? Do they do more out routes? In and out slant routes? What do they do? How can this offense best utilize Dylan Gabriel's talents? I mean, he's obviously a talented quarterback. I believe he is. But there are those concerns. At least to me, there are those concerns. He's short. But then again, Drew Brees was short. He's going to be an if he ain't already, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Drew Brees was short. What was he, 6'1", maybe? Sean Payton and the Saints made it work for him for all those years. Won a Super Bowl. So it ain't like short quarterbacks can't succeed in this league. They can. You just got to tailor that offense to his strengths. But what are his strengths? Can he roll out? Can he roll out and be accurate downfield? When he's chased out of that pocket, will he be able to fling it to an open receiver over the middle without getting the ball batted down his face? Will they have to play more shotgun? Because that'll be the only way he'll be able to see anything over the line. What will they do? I'm curious. But what a thing I do know, it can't be much worse than what they had Joe Flacco. Can't be. If it is, you talk about the Browns having problems. Then there's another question. There's going to be a lot of questions about this. Why isn't Shadur Sanders quarterback 2? Why isn't he the backup? Why is Joe Flacco still the backup? What about Shadur Sanders? You know, they interviewed about him. They interviewed him. Of course, you knew the media was going to interview him when it was announced that Gabriel will be QB1 and Flacco will be QB2, and he's still QB3. You know, he mined his answer. He's like, did a silent mime. Like, now, I thought it was funny. A lot of people probably think it was a little bit immature of him. But what is he supposed to say? I mean, I personally think the man should get a shot. Otherwise, why in the hell did you draft him? I know he was drafted in the 5th round and la-da-dee, la-da-da. He looked good in preseason. He looked awfully good. To me, he looked better than Dylan Gabriel in preseason. He looked better than any of the quarterbacks in preseason. We know Joe Flacco didn't play preseason. But out of all the quarterbacks that did play for the Browns in preseason, Shadur Sanders looked the best. He looked like he had command of the huddle. He looked like he knew what reads to make. He knew when to get out of that pocket. The slight only thing I had against him, he might have had a problem holding the ball on a little bit too long. But he'll figure that out. All rookies do that. All rookie quarterbacks hold on to that ball a little bit too long. Once they figure that out, and that's because they're still figuring out NFL defenses. But once they figure that out, then we know what their strengths are. We know if they can be, once they figure out NFL defenses, or they don't figure out NFL defenses, then we'll know if they're a bottom 5 quarterback in the National Football League. Now, Shadur Sanders, I believe, should get a fair shot. But it's the coach's decision, and he's went with Dylan Gabriel. Now, here's my question. How many games do we give him? How many games do we give Dylan Gabriel before we either anoint him as the next one or we treat him like Sandman and give him the hook? How many? 2, 3, 4 games? No. Want to see the schedule of the next 3 games. Let's look at the Browns' next 3 games. We know they play in London. We know they play in London Sunday against the Vikings. Right now they're sitting at 1-3. Right? Let me look up the next 3 games. The next 3 games. Vikings. Then they got to go to the Steelers. And then they got a home game against the Miami Dolphins. I believe, now, we need to see what Dylan Gabriel looks like. The London game will give us a gauge of what they look like. But that's the Browns' next 3 games. I think they hit a bye. Do we give them that long? Do we give them 3 games? 4? How many games do we give Dylan Gabriel to show us, to show the coaches, to show the fans what's he made of? personally, I think it's 3. I was going to say 2, but he is a rookie. He's not a seasoned vet. He's a rookie. So personally, I say 3. The next 3 games. And let's face it, the only winnable game of that bunch is at home against the Miami Dolphins. Now that Tyreek Hill's gone, they've got an excellent chance of winning that game with their defense. Can they do it with a rookie quarterback? I mean, their next 2 games ain't easy. They're gonna have to play the Vikings, and the Vikings can put some points on the right team. But I feel confident that the Browns' defense can hold them down, even in London, England. But how will Dylan Gabriel play? Now remember, he only got one decent wide receiver. He got one decent wide receiver, one decent tight end. We might have a running back. Well, I believe we have a running back now. Keyshawn Judkins has made me believe he can be the man at running back. He runs hard, but he runs smart. He runs hard, but he runs smart. Now, if the line could just give him a little bit of creases, maybe we got a good running back. As a Browns fan, I'm excited about Keyshawn Judkins. He just needs to keep his ass out of trouble. You know, give the other team trouble on the field. Don't get in trouble off the field. But that's neither here nor there. As far as Gabriel, 3 games. 3 games. We should know by then. Is he going to be the man? Or should they put Sanders in? At some point, Kevin Stefanski is going to have to make a decision about Shedeur Sanders. He can't just keep wading him in the water and hoping he can swim. How the hell we know he can swim if you don't put him in the deep end? That's how you do it. That's what they're supposed to get done. But if you're not going to play Shedeur Sanders, for whatever reason, maybe Dylan Gabriel becomes the man. Maybe. And if he is, you should let Shedeur Sanders go somewhere where he has a bona fide chance of being an NFL starting quarterback. Now, Dylan Gabriel spits the bit, plays like a chump. You have to give Shedeur Sanders a chance. You can't just keep sticking him back at QB3, especially if Dylan Gabriel is stinking up the joint. I don't even know why they even put Joe Flacco as this backup quarterback. He's done. He is done. I hate to say it about Flacco because 2 years ago, he saved the Browns bacon. But that's 2 years ago. We're talking about now. And Joe Flacco is not it. He's just not it. Shedeur Sanders should be moved up in the hierarchy as QB2. And then Gabriel falls off the wagon. Then you put Shedeur Sanders in the saddle and see what he can do. You drafted these quarterbacks. You got 1 point. I mean, it's obvious you knew this team wasn't going to be that good. Or you wouldn't have drafted 2 quarterbacks. You wouldn't have drafted a quarterback at all if you didn't think this team was going to be good. This team's right now it's 1-3, and the season's on the brink. You know, nobody's gonna. If they lose the next, if Dylan Gabriel stinks, and they lose the next 2 games, season's over. Season's over. Nobody's gone to the playoffs starting the season 1-5. No. So this is Dylan Gabriel's chance. He's got it. He needs to do something with it. With Kevin Stefanski and the offensive gurus that run the Cleveland Browns offense, they need to help him. If they ain't going to help him, let him go. But they need to help him. He's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. And this is a shout out to all the Browns fans out there. Y'all need to be patient. I know that's a 4-letter word in Cleveland. I know I'm a Browns fan. I know patience is a 4-letter word. I know. But this is a rookie we're dealing with here. This ain't no 8-year veteran. This is a rookie making his first NFL regular season start. It may be good. It may be lousy, but we got to see what he can do. And I hope, well, this time, Kevin Stefanski doesn't have time to be really, really patient like he should have been with Baker Mayfield. This time, he got him, Andrew Berry, the whole office, the management. They better hope that Dylan Gabriel or Shadur Sanders turns out to be the right one. If not, this team is in full rebuild in 2026. They ain't half rebuild now. But with that defense, I can't say they're fully rebuilding. Not with the defense they have. But if this doesn't work out with Gabriel or Shadur Sanders, this team's in total rebuild in 2026. And that means new head coach, new general manager. I hate to say it, but that's what's going to happen if this don't work. If this does not work. But I'm finally glad that Kevin Stefanski has seen the writing on the wall. And he knows he had to make that decision. He had to go with the rookie. Had to. They can't keep playing the way they're on offense. They can't. They had to make that move. And I'm glad that Kevin Stefanski saw that. I mean, because everybody's saying it. National media, local media. Me. I was saying it. Everybody's saying it. The fans saying it. Everybody in all of Brown's Kingdom and Dog Pound Land was saying it's time to make a change. And I'm glad they didn't wait till they're 1-6 to do that. They're 1-3. Yeah, about 11% of teams since 2000 or in the Super Bowl era have made the playoffs after starting the season 1-3. But it's not too late for this season to turn around. It isn't. We're at the quarter pole of the season. It's not too late. Now, Dylan Gabriel, I'm pretty sure a lot of Browns fans are hoping that this kid succeeds. And if he does, we'll have at least a small foundation for the future. But if he don't, like I said, 3 games. And one of them is against the Steelers. Talking about getting thrown into the fire. The Browns are starting a rookie against their arch rival. I can't wait to see how that plays out. You got Dylan Gabriel, the rookie, the new hot shot rookie, going up against Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. I can't wait to see how that plays out. But let's see what this kid can do. That's all. I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad Kevin Stefanski realized this before it was too late. What do you think? Drop a comment, like and subscribe. And if you like what I'm saying or you don't like what I'm saying, let me know. Drop a comment. I'll hit them up. Anyway, moving on. Like I said earlier, we're at the quarter pole of the NFL season. Quarter pole. 4 games in already. Man, where did the time go? We're in October. Man, where did the time go? And I know it don't feel like October out there, but it's October. So we're quarter pole of the NFL season. Everybody's played at least 4 games. Everybody's played 4 games. Because now we got bye weeks coming. We got bye weeks starting. Atlanta, I know Atlanta's on a bye week. Green Bay, Pittsburgh. They got bye weeks. They're not playing this week. But I wanted to go over who you guys think and who I think are the NFL MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Coach of the Year at the quarter pole of the season. I just want to know. Who do you... Now, according to ESPN at the quarter pole thinks the MVP of the NFL at the quarter pole is Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills. I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. The way he led the comeback win against the Ravens in Week 1, that set him above everybody else. Right there. That the way he came back, led the team back from 15 points down in with 5 minutes left in regulation to come back and beat the Ravens in regulation was a thing of beauty. And I think that's what put him already at the MVP top of the list already after week 1. And he hasn't done anything in my eyes to come off that number 1 perch for MVP. That's who I think is MVP so far this season. Now, defensive player of the year. Now, you would think I was gonna say, because I'm a Browns fan, you would think I would say Myles Garrett. He's up there. He's up there. Yeah, he is definitely up there. He's probably the most unblockable edge rusher in the league. I mean, single team. You could try him on a single blocker, that ain't gonna work. You try him with a double team. One of y'all holding. He's a monster, and has been a monster for the past few years. I don't see anybody really better than him as an edge rusher. But I'm not gonna put him number 1 right now. Not until I can't put defensive player of the year on a team that's 1-3. Not at this point of the year. Not gonna do it. I can't do it. I really can't do it. Not at not this early season when the team is 1-3. I know it ain't the defense's fault. Offense puts them in so many bad positions that they end up that's why they're 1-3. Because the defense ends up tired, they've been on the field too much, and they put in bad situations where they've been told to make miracles. And they did it once. But they ain't been able to do it against the Ravens, the Ravens, the Lions. So I'm gonna put him in number 2. Right now, I'm gonna put number 1, my defensive player of the year at the 4 weeks is the Denver Broncos edge rusher, Nick Bonito. I didn't even know who this fool was till I saw last week's game against Cincinnati. Oh my goodness. This guy is for real. This guy is for real. He has 4.5 sacks in 4 games. And he make it look easy. He's getting to be like Myles Garrett. It's hard. You cannot block him 1-on-1. Don't try to put one man on him to block him. And please don't put a tight end on him. That's not the Cincinnati Bengals did that, and it looked like they were insulting this man's intelligence. That's how good this young man is. He was running roughshod all over the Bengals. I thought it was the Bengals offensive line just stinks. And they do. But he's been doing that with everybody. He is a force. He is a force to be reckoned with. So I'm gonna give him the nod right now as my defensive player of the year through the quarter poll. Now, so you got MVP, Josh Allen. Defensive player of the year, Nick Bonito. Coach of the year, I don't know. This is a toughie because there's a lot of great teams out there. There's a lot of good teams out there, that is. You would like to think it would be, I would go with the coach of the Colts as defensive player of the year. He got him at 3-1 with Daniel Jones as the quarterback. I would give him the nod. In my eyes, I would give him a slight nod over with Shane Steichen of the Indianapolis Colts. I would give him a slight nod over Dan Campbell in the Detroit Lions. Did anybody see the Colts being 3-1? The Colts with Daniel Jones as the quarterback? Did anybody see this coming? No. I mean, first 3 games, they didn't only punt it twice. First 3 games, they only punted twice. Yeah, they won 1 game on a bit of divine intervention, But still, 3-0 was 3-0 until they went out to LA. But he got the coach at 3-1 and leading the AFC South. It ain't even close. It's not even close in the AFC South. I think it might be Jacksonville. You might even give them a nod a little bit. But I'm going with Shane Steichen as my defensive coach of my coach of the year through week 4. So, Josh Allen, MVP. Nick Bonito, defensive player of the year. And coach of the year right now, Shane Steichen. That's my 3 right now. Now, we know that can change in the next 4 weeks. Because we'll check back at the week 8, week 9, and see where all these players are at. But those are my big 3 right now as far as the big 3 awards in the NFL. What do you think? Hit me up. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Anyway, you're listening and watching the Total Sports Ozone, Big O with the big mouth here. Now we're going to switch gears up back to college football. Now, everybody's putting out projections. Excuse me. Everybody's been putting out projections on who they think is right now after week 5 projected to be in the college football playoff. My turn. I'm going to put out my projections. Now, I'm going to do this by conference. So, when I put out by conference, I'm going to say the first team probably is going to be the conference champion and then the at-large bids. Some conferences might get more at-large bids than others. That's just the way of the game. That's just how it is. But this is who I think after week 5 is going to make the college football playoff. Now, these definitely can change because some of these teams definitely got to play each other. They're going to probably knock each other out, knock one or the other out, or make their chances to make the playoffs a little worse or a little better. But right now, after week 5, here's who I got going in. We're going to do this by conference. And the first conference, of course, we're going to start with the SEC. Now, here's my lock. My lock to make the SEC, to make the playoff out of the SEC. My lock is Alabama. That's right. That's my lock. Everybody thought Alabama was going to fall by the wayside when they lost to Florida State first game of the year. Everybody was like, oh, Alabama going down again. And the hot seat on the beer is going to be hotter than the ice can help with. Well, he's turned it around. Due to the quarterback Simpson's excellent play, that team has turned it around and then some. And went on the road and knocked off Georgia, the big dog of the SEC. I mean, the defending SEC champion. Went on the road and got them. So they've beaten them in the last 2 years. And looking at their schedule, if they can get by the team they playing this weekend, Vanderbilt, I don't see them losing a game. I don't see them losing another game going into the SEC championship. Yes, and that includes Auburn. I don't see them losing another game. It's going to be very difficult for them to lose another game if they get by Vanderbilt. Now, tomorrow I'll be making my picks on select college football games in the NFL, but I'll do that tomorrow. Right now, that's my lock out of the SEC is Alabama. Now, other teams I believe can make that I got in the college football playoff right now out of the SEC. Alabama's the lock. They got Georgia, Ole Miss. Yes, I said Ole Miss. Oklahoma. If the tier gets back on the finger, with the surgery, if he can come back quick enough. Now, that's my 4. Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss. There are 2 teams in the SEC, 3 teams actually in the SEC who I got on the bubble that could get in if certain things shake out for them. One of them, LSU. LSU does got a good resume win against Clemson, but then again, Clemson at at the beginning it looked like a great resume winner, a road win against Clemson, who was ranked preseason top 5. But Clemson has sucked this year, so that doesn't help LSU. And then they lost on the road to Ole Miss. They're challenged offensively. Defensively, they're one of the best, but offensively, they're challenged. And the teams in front of them aren't. Alabama's not challenged offensively. Oklahoma, with Tears back healthy, they're not challenged offensively. Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M has a better defense than LSU. So LSU, they need to pick up some quality wins down the stretch. And with their schedule, they got a chance. But they need to pick up at least one or two more quality wins to give the committee a shot to think. Let make them think about them hard. That's one. That's one team unavailable from the SEC. The other one is Tennessee. It would have helped if they'd beat Georgia. If they had beaten Georgia, I would have them as one of my locks out of the SEC. But they let Georgia come back and beat them in their house. So that stung a little bit. That put a little that took some shine off their armor a little bit. And that's why I got them on the bubble. You got to beat the team you're supposed to. You beat the team you're supposed to beat, and then you're supposed to beat the team that give your program some shine, like the Georgias, the Alabamas, the LSUs. You got to beat those teams, whether you're at home or on the road. You got to beat them, and they had an opportunity to distance themselves from everybody else in the SEC. Had they picked off Georgia, couldn't do it. So they're one of my bubble teams in the SEC. The other SEC team that's on the bubble, I'm going to go with Vanderbilt. Yes, I said it, Vanderbilt. I said it, Vanderbilt. Now, if they can do what I think is the impossible and go into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama for the second straight year, you look on their schedule, it's way too favorable. I wouldn't be surprised they make it all the way to the SEC championship if they can beat Alabama in Alabama. That's what I think. I really think that. I really and truly think that. I never thought I'd say this, but that's where we are. That is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Vanderbilt is a bubble team for the college football playoff in the SEC. So my four locks: Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Ole Miss. My bubble teams: A&M, LSU, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. So moving on to the Big Ten. My lock. Come on, man. Look at my hat. Look at my hat, ladies and gentlemen. Look at my hat. Look at my hat. That's all you need to know about who the lock is out of the Big Ten. That's it. They could lose 2 games. They still going in. Put it like that. They can still lose. They can lose 2 games. They still going in. And they're like they did last year. Lost 2 games, won the national title anyway. They can still lose. They can lose 2 games. I believe Ohio State is the one team that can lose 3 games. They're still going in. But right now, pure lock. Matter of fact, number 1 seed, Ohio State. And you're like, oh, Ohio State's not that great looking on offense. Who cares? When you're giving up less than a touchdown a game, your offense doesn't have to be world beaters. They don't. They don't have to be. And they can be. That's the thing. That's the scary thing. That offense can be world beaters. If they wanted to. When they finally take the shackles fully off of Julian Sain, all those weapons he got, yes, they can be definitely a world beater on offense. Right now, they're just like middle of the road in offense, but there ain't no doubt in their defense. 5.5 points allowed in 4 games. They've given up 2 touchdowns on the season. Not in the game, the season. 2 offensive touchdowns. 2 touchdowns, and I think 3 field goals. That is it. That's all they're giving up. 2 touchdowns, 3 field goals. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's all who scored on Ohio State. Number 1, lock. Period, point blank. Other lock, Oregon. Oregon. I wouldn't. Those two are on a collision course to meet in the Big Ten championship. You look at these schedules. Yes, Ohio State has Penn State at home, and James Franklin doesn't know how to beat Ohio State. Hasn't beaten them in 9 years, so he don't know how to beat them. He could be up 30 points against Ohio State in the second half. Ohio State is still finding a way to come back and win. That's how badly James Franklin is against Ohio State. But also, Ohio State got to go to that team up north in Ann Arbor. But that's neither here nor there. Them are the 2 hardest games left on their schedule. All the other ones, they're all conference games, but they're all winnable. Ohio State will be favored in every one of those games except maybe the Michigan game. So they're locked. No doubt. Only thing about Ohio State is, will they be getting the number 1 seed? One of the 4 byes. That's the only question right now, Ohio State. Will they hang on in that number 1 seed? Or will they get one of those first round byes or not? That's the only question we got about Ohio State. Same thing with Oregon. Will they bump off Ohio State to get one of the top seed like they did last year? They are the defending Big Ten champs. And let's face it, that quarterback they got, Dante Moore, he ain't no joke. He's no joke. He stood up strong against Penn State and led them to an overtime victory. So he's not like he's no scrub. And so, and I looked at their schedule, Oregon schedule. Nothing. If you're a Duck fan, there's no team left on that schedule that should scare you. Not one. Maybe Michigan. That's it. But other than that, no, there's not another team on that schedule. I don't know about this one. Because you don't see Ohio State this year, but you do see Indiana at home. I believe that's this weekend. I don't know. I have to check, but I believe that game is this weekend. Indiana, they can put up points. But they put up points against bums. Yeah, they scored 63 points against Illinois, but I thought Illinois was overrated anyway. Could they match that kind of offensive excellence on the road? They barely pulled out a game against Iowa. But Iowa always have a tough defense. Now they got to go to Oregon. That could be a very good matchup. But like I said, it shouldn't be. If I'm a Duck fan, I'm not scared of Indiana, especially if I got them at home in Eugene. So those 2 of them. 3, Penn State. Yeah, they lost to Oregon. Yeah, they probably ain't going to be able to beat Ohio State. But they'll beat everybody else, and that'll be enough to get them in. I don't think when they lost to Oregon, I thought their shot for number 1, the top 4 playoff seeds for the first round bye was gone. But there's still only one loss, one conference loss. And they got plenty of time to make that up. Plenty of time. So Penn State is my other one. Now, I'm going to put right now as a lock out of the Big Ten, Indiana. Right now. But it's a shaky lock. It's like tentative. It's like they're on a cliff. I'm still not sold on Indiana. I'm really not. they haven't beaten anybody of significance yet. Yeah, they beat Illinois. Illinois was in the top 10. Illinois was overrated. The only reason why Illinois was in the top 10 because they beat Duke on the road, who at the time was ranked. Why? I don't know. They ain't beat nobody of significance. So I can't say Illinois was all that. And I still ain't going to say Illinois is all that. Beat somebody of significance. Then we'll talk. Indiana destroyed Illinois. It destroyed them. But can you do that against Oregon in Eugene? I doubt it. I doubt you're going to be hanging 60 points in Eugene. Anybody had that. But if you can pull out a win in Eugene, I don't care if it's by a point. Then I'll make Indiana a definitive lock. I got them in right now, but it's a tentative lock. It's tentative. So, those are my 4 locks out of the Big Ten. Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, and tentatively Indiana. Now, the bubble teams. Teams that can go either way. I hate to say it. That school up north. Yes, the Wolverines. If they get better, if they're getting better, I know they took 1 loss on the road already, but it wasn't a conference loss. All right. But I don't know if Michigan can afford to lose another game as compared to all the strong teams in the SEC. I don't believe Michigan can afford to lose another game. At least not before they play Ohio State. It would be devastating. It will be devastating to their playoff chances. They lose another game before they get to Ohio State, which we all know is at the very last game of the regular season. Right after Thanksgiving. So Michigan could go either way. I look at their schedule, and there are games that they can get picked off. Yeah, they got by Nebraska in Nebraska. Will they get by Illinois? I don't know. That leads me to my next bubble team, Illinois. That 53-point beatdown they took against Indiana, they ain't going to look good to the committee. I know it's just 1 loss, but a 53-point beatdown, and you were a top 10 team, according to the AP, you were ranked 9th, and you got thoroughly thumped. That's not going to look good in anybody's eyes. I mean, what if it comes down to Illinois and another 1-loss team to get that final wild card spot in the college football playoff? They're going to look at that loss. The committee going to look at the 1 loss each team took. Oh, Illinois, they got whooped by 53 points. And they were number 9 when that's happened. Another team, they only lost by a field goal. And they were on the road. I don't know. That's the problem Illinois has. They know they can't take another loss. That's definitive. B, that 1 loss they have right now, not only was it a conference loss, it was a beatdown. Man, look bad. Yeah, I know they recovered somewhat, beating USC. That's good. That's nice. But still, that 1 loss is going to be hard to shake unless they start blowing teams out. They have a chance to come off that, bring some shine back because they get Ohio State at home. That's their chance. I think that's their only chance the rest of this season to bring some shine back to their name. Ohio State. We'll see what happens. But right now, bubble team. Another bubble team out of the Big Ten. I'm going to have to say Maryland. Maryland, Washington, they're all bubble teams. They're good teams. Washington 3-1, Maryland 3-0. But Washington finally played somebody of significance, and they took a bad loss at home, only scoring 6 points. Maryland has not played anybody yet. Maryland has not played anybody of significance yet. That's coming. That's coming this weekend, really. So I want to see where they're at before I can raise them up. They're on the low end of the bubble. Can I raise them to the high end of the bubble? See about this weekend. So Big Ten, 4 locks. One of them's tentative, and at best 3 bubble teams: Michigan, Illinois, and Nebraska. The other 2 teams are low bubble teams: Washington and Maryland. So that's what I got it playing out of the Big Ten. 4 locks, 3 bubbles. The ACC. My lock for the ACC, Miami. Miami Hurricanes. Even though they got dropped in the polls, even though they had a bye week, I still think they're the strongest team in the ACC. And they're getting stronger. Now, they got a doozy of a game this weekend at Doak Campbell in Tallahassee against Florida State. I believe that game is going. I don't think that game is going to hurt Miami as much. A loss to Miami would hurt as much as a loss to Florida State did. Florida State took a L to a team that was unranked. They already took 1 L, Virginia, to an unranked team. They've already took 1. Now they can bounce back from that L if they beat Miami. But Miami's been a very strong team all year, and I wonder if the atmosphere. I'm wondering. One thing is, I'm wondering, will the atmosphere at Doak Campbell hurt the Hurricanes? But then again, I remember who they got a quarterback. They got an experienced veteran quarterback who's won a national title, who has played in hostile environments, in Carson Beck. So I don't think the environment is going to hurt Miami one bit. However, the question is, will a loss to Florida State by Miami hurt as much as a loss to Miami will hurt Florida State? Now, those are the 2 top teams, or 2 of the 3 top teams in the ACC. I got them both in. I got both of them in. Miami's the lock, and then Georgia's the wild card. Georgia. Florida State's a wild card. So this game's gonna go a long way to determine who's in and who's definitely got a place in the playoff, and who doesn't, and whose place is going to be teetering a little bit. Because you got another team on both their asses, and that's that team in Atlanta, Georgia Tech. Yes, Georgia Tech. They're one of my picks. They're one of my teams that are in the playoffs. I see them in the playoffs as a runner, like anywhere from a 7 to 10 seed. But can they keep it up? I mean, they had to make a hell of a comeback just to beat Wake Forest. Can they do this? I mean, I look at their schedule. They don't make it. It's going to be difficult not to get them in. But if they can make it to the ACC championship game, I think they'll be in, whether they want to lose that game. But I don't think they can afford another loss. Georgia Tech. I don't think they can afford a loss, because there will be a lot of one-loss teams that will have probably better resume than Georgia Tech. Right now, they're undefeated. Right now, I got them in. So those are my 3 in the ACC: Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Those are my 3 in the end. The bubble team is Virginia. Yeah, they got their signature win, beating Florida State. Can they capitalize on that? That's the question with Virginia. They ain't never been in this kind of position. It's been a long time since we talked about the Virginia Cavaliers being in a position to make them. I don't think we've ever talked about that. The Virginia Cavaliers? We ain't never talked about them going to the playoff. But that's what one galvanizing win can do to you. And that was a big one. Can they capitalize on that? Right now, I got Virginia on the bubble. But if they can capitalize on beating Florida State and not have a letdown, I'll put them in. We'll see. So, ACC, 3 locks: Miami, as of week 5. Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech. And on the bubble, I got Virginia. Everybody else in the ACC, get in where you fit in, including Clemson. I think Clemson is done. Clemson and all the others, they playing for one of those thank you for playing bowls. That's what I call bowl that doesn't affect the college football playoff. Thank you for playing. Here's your consolation gift. You know what I mean? Thanks for playing. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. That's where Clemson at. Now, Big 12. Whew. Big 12 is hard to figure out. You've got a lot of good but not great teams in the Big 12. You got Texas Tech. You got our Iowa State. You got BYU. You got Arizona State. You got TCU. You got a lot of teams that can make a run and a lot of teams that can go the other way. Who do you pick? That was a tough one for me. Right now, as of week 5, I'm going to go with Texas Tech. But that's tenuous. It could be, I could go with Iowa State. Arizona State. Hell, they just beat TCU, who was undefeated. Came back and beat them. But right now, it's like flipping a coin, pulling a name out of a hat, and the name I pulled out is Texas Tech. But then again, the quarterback does not get healthy. I don't know. They did get a great war win in Utah. But, I don't know. I don't know. It just looks like they're going to have to see Arizona State. They probably have to see BYU, which is the bubble team right now. According to ESPN, they're the bubble team in out of the Big 12. I got a bubble team in Iowa State. I got the bubble team in Iowa State. Now, they're winning, but I think they need to have two more big, significant wins to jump into the conversation. But then again, there are a lot of teams in the Big 12 are in that position. But right now, I got my lock as Texas Tech. As long as they keep winning. As long as they keep winning. So, those are the Power 4. The teams I got Power 4 as my locks and my bubbles. Now, independent, Notre Dame had to come with it. Notre Dame, the group of 5 and independents. I'm going to rope them all together. Notre Dame already got 2 losses. How they're still ranked, who the hell knows? But they need to come with it. They can't afford to lose another game. And they know it. With no conference affiliation, and you already have 2 losses at the quarter pole of the season, you cannot afford another loss. Now, I believe they're playing like they know it. I mean, they went down to Arkansas, beat them so bad they made Arkansas fire the head coach the next day. The next Monday. Beat them so bad in Arkansas they made them fire the head coach the next Monday. Oh, well. That's what they need to keep doing against everybody. Everybody. They can't afford to slip up no more, and I believe they know it. Another loss, and they're done. Compared to all the other teams ahead of them, even teams that I haven't even mentioned that are ahead of Notre Dame in the pecking order, they can't afford another loss, and they know it. We'll see how they progress, but right now they're out. They're out. They got too many teams they got to climb over, and they got to look damn good doing it for me to put them back into the college football playoff bracket. Now, the group of 5, there's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good teams. You got Memphis. You got Tulsa. Tulane. You got the North Texas Mean Green. One of those teams gonna get in. Either Memphis, Tulane, or North Texas. That's my belief. Memphis, Tulane, or North Texas. Just right, the Mean Green. One of them teams is going to get into the playoffs. I truly believe that. One of those three teams will get into the college football playoffs. Who will it be? I have no idea, but it's going to be fun to find out. So, that's who I think is in the college. My locks and my bubble teams for college football playoff as of week 5. Week 6 is coming this weekend, so could change. Got a lot of good games. We'll be previewing those games tomorrow as well as making my picks. So, hope you tune in and see that. Because, I don't know, I might be making a bold prediction on a pick. Vanderbilt, maybe? Florida State, maybe? No. You got to find out tomorrow. All right, to wrap things up for the day, MLB playoffs. 3 elimination games. Guardians had a hell of an 8th inning to stave off elimination and force a game 3 winner take all this afternoon. Red Sox, Yankees. Yankees pulled out the win late to force a game 3. Wow, these games are be intense too, because the Guardians and Tigers game, they took away a run. They took away a run from the Tigers because they said the run didn't score before the third baseman tagged the runner out at third, and that could have went either way. They reviewed it and I saw the review. That could have went either way, and if he'd have scored and they'd have counted that run, ain't no telling how that game went. The Guardians could have been eliminated, but nevertheless, they got that reprieve and they took advantage of it. That's why you love the MLB playoffs. Anything can happen. Anything. But those are the 3 games today with somebody going home. Last night, the Dodgers just took care of the Reds. The Reds just looked overmatched. I mean, it was a good story for the Reds and their fans and the people of Cincinnati that the Reds basically stole a playoff spot, a wild card spot from the big, bad, mighty, expensive New York Mets. It was a good story. But they just looked overmatched against the Dodgers. I mean, we're talking about the defending World Series champion. They just looked overmatched. They just look like, you're not quite ready yet. You're getting there. And with Terry Francona, Tito, I believe they're going to even get better. The Reds are going to get better because Tito is one of the best managers I've ever seen. I mean, hell, he turned around the Red Sox. He made the Indians/Guardians, a perennial playoff contender. From all his time he was there, he made them a perennial playoff contender. And he was basically working with Jose Ramirez and a bunch of scraps. But he made them a perennial. So you never can count Tito out. Not Terry Francona. He's one of the best in the business. And he's going to get the Reds there. He's going to get them to where, just like he did with the Guardians, just like he did with the Red Sox, he's going to make them perennial playoff contenders. I truly believe that. I've seen him do it, so I know he can do it. But as of right now, the Reds were just completely overmatched, and they got eliminated in two games. But they'll be back. And this afternoon, I think it starts at 3 Eastern, 2. The Guardians and Tigers, game 3. Winner moves on to play Seattle. Loser says, we'll see you next spring. Same thing with the Red Sox and Yankees. Winner moves on to Toronto. Loser says, we'll see you next spring. And then you got the Cubs and Padres. Winner moves on to play the Brewers. Loser says, we'll see you next spring. So it's very intriguing games that will be coming on this afternoon and this evening. I can't wait to see them. I know what I want to do, and I'm probably going to do it tonight, is I have a baseball book. I have one of those baseball scoring books, and I started last year in the playoffs, and I need to pick that up this year. I'm going to start scoring the books, scoring the game. I want to score a game. So maybe I'll be able to do that tonight. We'll see. But that's today's edition of the Big Old Total Sports Ozone for October 2nd. Now, tomorrow, Pick 'em Friday. I'm going to make select picks from college football games. I try to pick from the biggest matchups, and I'll pick all the NFL games coming on Sunday and Monday night. I know there's a game tonight, the Rams and the 49ers. I'm going to just tell you right now, I got the Rams. I don't care what the spread is. I got the Rams. 49ers, they're too disjointed right now. I got the Rams winning tonight. But I'll make all my picks for the NFL games for week 5 tomorrow, and I'll make my selected picks for the college football games, the most intriguing matchups for week 6. All right? I hope you join me. And if you can't join me, I will repost this recording on my feed, and I will have a Spotify audio podcast posted later on this afternoon. So give it a listen. This is the Big O with the Big Mouth for the Total Sports Ozone. Enjoy the games, the baseball games. Enjoy them. They're fun to watch. We'll talk about it tomorrow. See what happens. All right, I'm signing out. See ya.